Should I do an intro?
Sure, let's do it.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Dipshit Cinema Club podcast.
Yes.
My name is Elias.
I'm John.
And we are experimenting because this is very new.
Yep.
A couple weeks ago, my man John came to me and said, why don't we start a club called Dipshit Cinema Club? And I said, you had me at Dipshit. And then from there, shit blew up very quickly. And it's very exciting, and we're so excited by the reaction. So we're just keeping the momentum going.
Yeah, this has been honestly surreal.
I mean, so if you're joining us from the Instagram, you recognize John as the Boss Baby Man.
Yep.
Oh, he's much more than that, but he's the Boss Baby Man. And you're officially viral, my dude.
Yeah, dude, it's been seen, I don't know, 400,000 times.
Close to, yeah, like I haven't checked all the stats on everything, but like nearly 500,000.
Yeah.
That's real numbers.
And the crazy part about it was this, I don't know. It was just we were doing all these memes and nobody was really liking it for like weeks. Like we had like 70 followers.
No one was literally liking it. No one was like hitting like.
That's what I mean. Like people liked the page, but nobody was like giving us likes or follows. And then in the span of literally 7 days, we blew up to like 10,000 and now we're at 15,000.
For context, John one day was like, these memes are not moving the needle. What if I do something where I'm just going to like, for every follower, I'm going to run a mile or whatever. And then did we land on Boss Baby together, or you just something you came up with?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So I saw all these videos and there was like so many of them on my feed of like, I'm going to run an inch for every follower I get. I'm going to do a push-up for every 100 followers I get. And it was all like these like guys trying to get in shape. And then we were just, dicking around and like, what is that format, but like the dumbest version possible and something that tangentially relates to movies. And yeah, at first we just figured we'd watch Boss Baby. And for like the first 5 days, we were getting like 10 followers at a time.
Dude.
Which made me feel like the biggest loser in the world.
I was watching these videos and I was like, my man is dedicated, so I will love him forever for this. But also those first 2 or 3 where we were like getting like 30 follows a pop.
Yeah.
I was like, they're killing my poor boy.
Yeah. At that rate, it would have been like 180 days of Boss Baby. And that would have been, people would have gotten tired of it. And I was freaking out because I was like, it's going to go lower the more repetitive this becomes. And
right.
So then, like the first day was just straight. The second day, I was like putting on this character of like, almost like self-help, like anyone can do it. The third day, I invented this thing where my boss is mad at me, and then it kind of just spiraled from there.
Yeah, the meta-narrative stuff was fun, and I was like, we're at least like messing with it a little bit. We're like, this guy's life is falling apart because he's watched Boss Baby 50 times in a row.
Yeah, and I think people appreciated that. Like, I think most people got that it was a joke. Some people definitely didn't.
Some comments were like, dude, leave your wife. Like, if she doesn't believe in you, do it.
Yeah, like your father-in-law is a piece of shit, or
I'm the father-in-law.
Your wife is sensitive. Some were just weird, like don't step foot into Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, threats.
Yeah.
One early post was, well, this had potential.
Yeah, dude, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
And it's the first time in my life where you hear people talk about like reading the comments, replying in the comments, like starting beef in the comments. Is the first time I ever encountered a moment where I was like, do I engage this person and see what they're talking about?
They always say not to engage the comments, but it's easier said than done.
And also with all the encouraging ones, I was like, hell yeah, like thank you for watching. Like here's a like thank you for supporting this really silly thing that we're doing, which is so much fun. So how many times did you watch it in the end?
How many times did I watch it?
The Boss Baby.
So like the first like minute to 3 minutes I've watched like 12 times. The first 15 minutes I've watched like 8 times. The first 30 minutes I've watched like 6 times. The first like hour, it's 97 minutes, so it's like an hour and 37 minutes. The first like hour and 15 I've watched like twice, and then the full movie, what happened was I was filming it I watched it all the way through, and I looked at my phone camera, and my charger was loose in the outlet, so my phone actually died halfway through the movie. So I had to go back, and I was able to piece it together, but I had to go watch it the second half again, and yeah, it was pretty challenging.
And you did it. You actually watched it. You didn't camera fake it or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to. I was like, I was like looking up ways to like green screen me in, but I was like,
you probably could have done like you could have let it play and then done like a
slate,
like a cut and like stitch 2 shots together.
But that's lame. It's
no,
much
dude.
better,
I think people reacted to it because you were doing it.
Yeah.
And you were subjecting yourself to this, and that was part of the joke.
You know what I realized? Like this, and even like Mr. Beast, it's like it's kind of fucked up, but people just want to see you doing work. Like the content has to be good, but like it's better when people see you, I guess, struggling. Like Mr. Beast, like climbing stairs for an hour or counting to 1 million, or.
But then they want to see you win.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because I think that's what the pop was like.
Right.
We had like very little, and then the algorithm finally was like, huh? And we got like 1,000. Yeah. And then you actually put a dent in the movie.
I remember.
And then it was people, like the reaction was nuts. Like you were getting retweeted or whatever, and people were like, support this man. Do
you remember when it, like, it was at Friendsgiving. It was like right around Thanksgiving, maybe the night before, and coming home from party, and it popped at like midnight. That's like so Wednesday going into Thursday, and I just remember looking at my phone like a little drunk, and just
beep, beep, beep,
ceaseless beep, beep. Notifications, and I was like, whoa. This is crazy.
It's also worth mentioning that you were recording these while at your family's house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different locations. So some are in my apartment, some are in my sister's house, some are at my mom's house. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, I think people resonated with the effort you were putting into this thing, because I was like, my man's doing it. And so now we're going to segue to our first segment, which is, what do you think of the movie?
Oh, Boss Baby?
Yeah. Let's review the movie. Our inaugural review must be a review of Boss Baby, because in solidarity, I watched it, and that was no easy feat.
You watched it. So you watched it once.
I watched it once and a half. Like, I boned up a little bit for this show.
Oh, like you were watching it with me during the days.
I was watching a little bit, and then I kind of like was like, I'm just gonna let my man do the heavy lifting on this one.
I appreciate that.
And then I sat down when it really popped. I was like, okay, I need to I can't be a faux Boss Baby enjoyer. I need to watch the movie.
You know that like story, that Christian, like Jesus in the footsteps? You were like Jesus walking with me. Like he sees apt. One pair of footsteps and it's not him, it's Jesus.
Oh, like on the beach.
Yeah.
I get that a lot, actually.
Anyway, Boss Baby. So, I mean, it's hard because I've seen this movie more than like anyone else. But yeah, it wasn't good. I want to like it. I want to, and yeah, it's probably the worst animated movie I think I've ever seen.
Which is wild because it's DreamWorks.
Yeah.
They did How to Train Your Dragon, which is a series that hits every single time. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. They're all really good. Shrek, which is like one of the biggest animated franchise ever. Bad Guys, which came out recently, which was really good, like really enjoyable, funny, good voice acting.
Yeah.
This movie,
cast was stacked.
The cast was stacked, and none of it clicks.
No.
Like Jimmy Kimmel's
the dad.
The dad. He recorded it in one go in his closet. You can tell. Like his takes have no correlation with what's happening in the scene. And that's not a knock on Kimmel, but
yeah.
I'm like, where that's talent, man. That's a guy's time. Like how did they not make it work?
Yeah.
Baldwin did a really good job.
Yeah, but like it just, I don't know, the whole, like the choice, it's not his fault, but the choice of having this baby be such a boss, it made me feel like weird. I don't know it made me feel small. So here's the crux of my issue. Yeah.
He's a grown, for all intents and purposes, mentally, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
In the body of a baby.
True.
And in the dream world, it's very Pixar-esque in that way, where there's like an alternate reality where there's like Babyland, where babies who don't have families go work at Baby Corp.
Yes.
And what do they do at Baby Corp?
Well, they're trying to get love.
They need love
Right.
to... Did they ever explain, like, if love does anything, or they just want to make sure that puppies don't get all the love?
Yeah, the second one.
They just need to... It's capitalism. They just need to stay in competition with the
Yes.
puppies. Okay. I kind of dig that, actually, where they're just like, corporate greed is the main motivator. It's pretty honest in that regard. So Alec Baldwin is a PMC, basically, in Baby Corp.
Yeah.
And he gets sent to Earth to interfere with a new puppy.
Yes. I think it's like the whole insight of like people liking their dogs more than children, or people treating puppies or animals like children nowadays, like trying to tap into that.
So this was the first moment where, as a former dog owner and a current baby haver, I was like, what? Who wrote this?
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's kind of funny that people like love their pet more than their baby. But for a kid's movie, I was like, what a weird premise to kick off on.
Like they were all like in a room together, and like the creative juices were flowing, and it felt really great in the moment. But it's one of those ideas where it's like you give it like a day, and you're like, it was like
coming apart as I was watching it. I was like trying to run the logic, because all these movies, I think Pixar is famous for having like the "this is me," and then they introduce the character, and then they give you a ton of exposition up front of like, here's the rules of the world, whether it's Inside Out or Up or WALL-E or whatever, and then the story goes, and there's like a really beautiful metaphor for adolescence or love.
I don't know what the metaphor in this movie was.
At the beginning, I was like, oh, it's about welcoming a new brother into your life and like imagination.
Oh, true, yeah.
But then it comes apart immediately.
Yeah.
It's not clear whether, like, there's a scene where he's talking to the baby and the baby's talking back, and then you can't tell if the parents understand the baby, like if they can tell that he's talking. It's kind of like Stewie and Family Guy.
Right.
And then there's a riff of like, oh, it's kids' world where they can understand each other, and real world where it's just a young boy coming to grips with having a new baby brother.
Yeah, it was like the whole movie, the main character was like slowly having a breakdown.
Right.
But it was also not the case. It was also real.
Because there's parts in the movie where there's like a huge action set piece in a car chase, and they cut to the parents and the kids are just doing like simple stuff in the background. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a funny joke, where in the kid's imagination it's like a Michael Bay movie, but in reality it's just him coming to grips and his imagination is getting away from him. But
then they also take a plane to Vegas, and that actually happens, and
or
do all these crazy
shit
things.
Explodes, and there's shards of glass and there's stuff on fire, and then the parents come out and there's literally shards of glass and stuff on fire. And so I'm like, is it a metaphor? Is it real?
We need answers here.
I want answers. If there's anyone listening who works at DreamWorks, who works on this movie, who's willing to kind of walk us through it.
I mean, all of our success, though, is on the back of Boss Baby. So, like...
I mean, we owe a ton to Boss Baby.
Like, we would be nothing without Boss Baby. Dude.
And I think it's just going to be with us for a long time. For better or for worse.
It's our brand.
It's kind of like your first tattoo, where you're like, this is awful, but I love it because it kind of broke the seal.
Did you catch that it was a period piece?
No.
It was. I've seen it so many times, dude. I didn't catch it the first time. It's like...
When does it take place?
Like, gotta be the 50s or 60s.
No.
The TVs, the mid-century modern house, the cars. There's no technology in it.
There's a talking wizard clock.
Yeah, but that's like... That they could invent that in the 60s. It's not digital.
So you think it takes place in like the 50s or 60s?
I know it takes place in the 50s or 60s.
Damn, dude.
I don't... Which is like... In Incredibles, that's a period piece also. But like that kind of makes sense because it's like harking back to that genre of superheroes. So it's like, oh, it's a nod. But this movie, I'm not quite sure why I needed to. It's not a bad choice. I just don't. It feels like arbitrary.
I might have to watch it again just to understand.
You don't understand the complexity of Boss Baby.
Do you have any more? Are there any more little nugs of Boss Baby insight? Like, you're an expert, for better or for worse. You're an SME on Boss Baby.
Alec Baldwin was snorting coke the entire time.
I mean, There was one.
No disrespect to Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, big ups to Alec Baldwin wherever he's at. There was only one scene that actually made me laugh, which was when they're doing the two people in a trench coat thing, but they're getting on a plane full of Elvis impersonators.
Right. Yeah.
And then Boss Baby is using Elvis language to talk to another Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
And they basically speak in Elvis quotes. If you haven't seen the movie and you can't follow what we're talking about, don't worry about it.
You had to be there. That's what you're saying.
You have to have seen the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, that's kind of clever, whatever. Like, it's kind of charismatic and weird.
Yeah.
But then the second it was over, I was like, who's this for?
The movie?
No, that scene.
Oh, it's not for the kids watching it.
It's for the parents. But are the parents Elvis fans?
True. And it came out before the Elvis movie.
Right. So, they were hinging on, Elvis pre-Oscar buzz.
Right.
To, resonate with the parents.
Well, I don't think they knew about the Oscar. They don't think they knew about Elvis when they made that.
The movie, you
2019.
mean? Yeah. So I was just they just thought an Elvis bit would, get the parents giggling.
Yeah. I don't know who the movie is for.
I couldn't place it.
But, there were some nice elements to it. The level of detail I have in this movie, there's this moment where the little kid is searching around the home and he scratches his ankle and pushes his sock down. It's there's little moments like that, or when they're brushing up against a wheel. That's just more of the animation of it. There was just the attention to detail was. That's the really hard part about a movie like this, is that there is an insane amount of effort and time that goes into making a feature-length animated film. I mean, in any feature film, really, but animated in particular, you're making every pixel from scratch. Yeah.
And there's people who are pouring their heart and soul into animating these characters. And then to put it all together, and it's a Bobo Toy Story with, some elements of Monsters, Inc. and, a little bit of 30 Rock because they have Alec Baldwin. I was just shit. That kind of stinks. Anyway, go check out Boss Baby.
Yeah, we recommend.
Yeah.
I gave it in the videos a 6 out of 10. And I think that's
I'll give it 6 out of 10.
There. Pretty much
Sure. This brings us to our next segment, where we're going to take inspiration and we're going to talk about the top 5. Hold for credits. Okay, top 5 movies with babies in them.
Okay.
I have a list.
Oh, okay.
So you want to just go through my list that I made?
Sure.
All right. This is from hours of research and voted on by a jury of our peers. Number 5 is Junior from 1994. Do you know that movie?
No.
This is the heyday.
Junior?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. This is great that I get to explain this movie to you. It's the heyday of big budget studio comedies.
Okay.
The cast is Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito, and Emma Thompson.
Oh.
It's directed by Ivan Reitman of Ghostbusters fame. And the premise is that, and this is the byline from IMDb, as part of a fertility research project, a male scientist agrees to carry a pregnancy in his own body. Guess who gets pregnant?
Well, it's got to be Schwarzenegger.
So the movie is Schwarzenegger experiencing pregnancy, and all the jokes are I have hot flashes, or
Do they very actively not want Danny DeVito to get pregnant?
I think DeVito, it's been a minute since I've seen the movie. DeVito is
Wait,
you gotta.
They together?
What?
Are they together?
They're both scientists.
Oh.
They're not a couple.
Okay.
That would have been a better movie if they're a gay couple and they have a surrogacy. Ooh.
Gay Junior.
It's a gay couple, but one of them becomes the surrogate through a marvel of science.
Honestly, and just cast the same people.
DeVito and Schwarzenegger.
Just redo it, yeah.
It'll cost $3 billion to make. I'm down. It's one of the. It's classic, some studio exec spun a wheel while snorting a bunch of coke.
Yeah.
And was pregnancy, Schwarzenegger, studio comedy.
Love it.
It's wild.
Okay. What's your next movie?
Number 4, The Hangover.
True. Carlos.
The baby.
Yeah.
That movie does not hold up well. I don't know if you've seen it recently.
No, but I can imagine some of the jokes probably don't.
I was watching clips in preparation, and I was like, ooh, they're saying words that
were
never cool, but are we've learned that are really not cool.
Yeah.
And they're just letting them fly.
Was it still like funny? Like, ooh, I shouldn't laugh at this, but it's still enjoyable? Or was it more just like, this isn't even funny?
Galifianakis is great.
Yeah.
He's just his mannerisms. That's why he became a star, is because of that movie, and it's totally legit.
Yeah.
Ken Jeong is great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then Ed Helms is doing his Ed Helms thing. He's always funny. And then Bradley Cooper is chewing up scenery.
Yeah.
It's so weird, especially now that Bradley Cooper is like an Oscar darling. And he made... Can we talk about Maestro for a second?
Sure.
Why is he wearing a fake nose in that movie?
Did you find that offensive?
Yeah. I'll tell you why. I don't care about prosthetics, really. But I was like, oh, cool. Cooper's going full method like he always does, and he wants to look like the conductor. Great. Like, go for it, Bradley.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to do it all. And then I looked up a picture of Leonard Bernstein. He's like a handsome dude.
Is his nose smaller than Bradley Cooper's?
It's not a schnoz.
Okay.
And then Bradley Cooper was like, man, what can I do to look more Jewish?
Right.
I know.
Right.
And I was like, bro, do less.
Right.
You're writing, you're directing, you're producing, you're acting.
So you think it was intentional? Like, I don't think he was.
I think he was
Obviously.
like in the zone and was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to become this guy. I'm going to do the full method thing. And he's like, I really want a prosthetic nose to look more Eastern European. And the rest of his team was like, okay,
Right.
let's see how it goes. And they just let it ride. And it's his show, so he like probably went to the mat for it. Actually, I don't know. I hope that someone was like, maybe we don't need it. But I saw it and I was like, that sucks.
So did you see the movie?
I haven't seen the movie. I don't think
Oh,
it's come
okay.
out yet. But
Okay,
I saw the
no.
trailer and I was like, huh, why'd you do that?
Yeah. That is definitely, it's like the thing, I think Jon Stewart was talking about it with the bankers in Harry Potter.
Yes.
And now once he mentioned that, I can't unsee it.
It's like,
That's more egregious.
well, that's like World War II propaganda.
They control all the money and they're like,
But again, that's like prosthetics. So that's
yeah.
hours and hours of design and prototyping.
Yeah.
And at no point was anyone like, you know what this kind of looks like?
Yeah.
So I hope I'm being too sensitive about it. I hope
Still
it's
like you, Bradley.
yeah. I'm still rooting for Bradley. Star is Born was a jam. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love how like actor-y he is, where he's like, I'm gonna tell the story and I'm gonna go for Oscars, and like he's making these big movies. I think he's net positive for film, but the Jew face thing is just like, my culture is not your costume, my dude. Just like, don't. Just be a handsome man and be Jewish. Like, why can't we have that?
But at the same time, it's like, is that the hill to die on?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
There's
not
probably
going to.
worse things happening to the community.
I'm trying to think of what else is going on right now that might be a bigger thing. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, 3. Okay.
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, it has baby in the name.
Has baby in the name.
Yeah.
It's just like one of the all-time great horror movies. Mia Farrow, and I forgot that John Cassavetes was in it. And it's just like turning the screw every single time. It's just one of the best horror movies ever made.
I'm going to admit, I've actually never seen it.
Great. Go watch it, because it's just like, it's up there with like The Shining and The Exorcist, of like eras of movies where there's no gimmick.
Yeah.
They're not trying to like get cheap scares.
Yeah.
It's just Mia Farrow in an Upper East Side or a West Side apartment.
Oh, it's in New York?
It's in New York.
Ooh.
The plot is basically she's a new mom, and her neighbors start getting scared, start acting weird,
Yeah.
and it's just like a descent into madness.
It's like satanic, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the baby is the son of Satan.
Oh. Yeah.
And spoilers.
The Exorcist fucked me up as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I growing up Catholic, like me and my cousin Trish would show me scary movies. She was like 2 years older than me. She bought the DVD and we watched it, and my mom found out and like basically flipped out.
Yeah.
like destroyed the DVD. Like she just like, get this out of my house.
I feel like Exorcist is like the classic, like don't show it to kids or it'll fuck them up.
Well,
kind of
apparently
movie.
people died watching it. Like no, like when it came out in the 70s. Like
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. People had like heart attacks and died watching it.
Is that true?
Yes,
That's not like.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
All right, I'll believe it because I feel like that movie when it came out, nothing like it existed beforehand.
Yeah.
So it must have really blown people's
Well,
minds.
so I know a lot about this movie because the making of it was like very fucked up. Like people like died on set.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
Friedkin is like a nut. He was like,
Well, just like freak accidents. Like it's like a curse. They think it's like cursed.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like, but to your point, Friedkin, like to get the scenes where it was so cold, where it's like you can see the breath.
Yeah.
That was all done practically because it was
Of
like
course.
the 70s. So like they had to like freeze the room, and then like the lights. You could only do it for a certain amount of time because like the lights would warm the room up or something like that. But yeah, a lot went into that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. Friedkin, he's like notoriously out of his mind.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace. He also directed French Connection,
Yeah.
which is the same thing where they have like one of the most legendary car chases of all time. They stole the whole thing. They strapped the camera to the front of a car and just hurtled it down an
Right.
avenue in Queens.
They didn't like permit that. Yeah.
So
Dude, the
there's
70s.
cars and people jumping out of the way of this car, and that's real.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome though.
It's pretty sick. Makes for good movies. In hindsight, they probably should have permitted.
He kind of fell off. Like he won like an Oscar, and is like, and then like,
He was goated for like a couple of years,
yeah,
and then he just stopped making good movies. I think he like kind of lost his mind a little bit.
yeah.
He claimed to have seen The Shroud of Turin. I listened to an interview where he
That's
was like,
pretty epic,
he was like, I went to the Vatican and they showed me The Shroud of Turin,
Wait,
and it changed my life forever.
that's pretty amazing.
I kind of want to believe him.
I love Friedkin.
Yeah, he's kind of like a legend in that way.
Yeah. Would you rather make something as good as The Exorcist or The French Connection and then kind of fuck off, or just have like a steady beat of like, oh yeah, you're making cool stuff, but you never like pop?
I mean, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, we're not popping.
I mean, we're currently popping because of this thing, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you and we're creative professionals. Like, I've made stuff that I'm proud of, but I have no marquee. I have no Elias presents this. I think it'd be so cool to have that. If that means like, if the hypothetical means that I burn out afterwards and fade away, might be
Yeah.
worth it just to be
Might
like.
be.
I think it is just to have like your time to shine.
I was reading this book on like the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 game
Yeah.
with the USSR, and like those guys, it was like the Cold War, and they won the game, and it was like the story of America. They were 18 years old at
They're
the
college
Olympics.
students, right?
That's the best moment of their life, and like they went on to like own car dealerships in Middle America, which is like not. It's a great life.
Yeah.
But imagine like the best thing that's ever gonna happen to you happens at 18 years old.
I mean, there's two ways of looking at it, right? The healthy way of looking at it is like, I got to experience greatness,
Yeah.
and now I can live out the rest of my life as a normal dude,
No pressure.
no pressure, and just
Right.
be happy and never have to worry about what if or maybe, or you just like, you did this incredible thing, you're going to go down in history.
Yeah.
I'm just going to chill. That sounds really
That's
nice.
the idealist.
That's the idealist.
version.
I think if it happened to me, I would be chasing that dragon. I would be walking around in my Letterman jacket and my ring and my gold medal
Yeah.
when I'm like 60.
I'm neurotic as fuck, dude.
Oh yeah.
I can't find joy in, like, even this Boss Baby thing. I'm like, oh, we got to 15,000. Like, what's next? And it's like, dude, when you started this, you would have been happy with like 500 followers. You know?
Yeah. So to answer your question, I think
Yeah.
I would take the legendary thing accomplishment. Also, he had at least two. I'm trying to think of a third banger that he had. 3 in my mind is what puts you into like elite status.
Yeah.
Like only the greats have like 3 movies that are like legendary.
Right.
But I think he made The Exorcist. Like
Yeah.
people who haven't seen the movie know the head spinning. Like they know
The pea
the little
soup.
girl. They know all of it. So he like left his mark on the culture, which is like
Do you know how they got the voice, by the way, of the demon?
no.
Okay. You'll actually like this.
Oh, I didn't know that you're like a low key.
Well, it was actually
Exorcist
filmed
guy.
where I went to college too. I don't know why it's so interesting to me, but so they like tied this woman up who was like an alcoholic, and they just gave her like handles of whiskey, and she smoked like 3 packs of cigarettes, and they literally tied her up and just recorded her screaming, and like her voice was very raspy and hoarse.
Is that true?
Yes.
So they basically tortured a woman for her VO?
Like, I think she volunteered for the job. She got paid for it.
She knew that she was going to like oh wow.
Isn't that wild though?
That is wild.
Yeah. It was a woman, first of all. Like, you could make the demon a man, but they chose to keep it a woman, and they just like put her through.
But like that
all this
hag
stress.
voice coming from the little girl's body is what made it so scary
Yeah.
and made it feel so real.
And today I feel like they would just like manipulate it on a program.
Yeah, it would be
Or
super
like-
produced.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of horror movies recently that like, yeah, until like that new wave of like The Witch, and,
A24 horror.
yeah, the
movies.
A24 stuff, or like Hereditary, where they really brought it back and like grounded it and just was like, we're just gonna make it eerie with direction and filmmaking and like
Yeah.
the basic tools.
It's
and
not a
that-
horror movie. It's a movie just with horror.
right,
Yeah.
because like the horror movie genre is such an incredible like fast lane for a director. Like if you get Blair Witch or a Saw or something to pop,
Yeah.
that like almost all of the Marvel movies and that ilk were just like people who directed small genre movies who then Marvel was like, all right, we're going to pluck you now and we're
Yeah.
going to slot you into Ant-Man. Well, not Ant-Man, but something like Ant-Man.
Dude, did you see what's happening with Marvel?
No.
Okay, so like the Hollywood is kind of trying to tumble the king a little bit. The Marvels flopped, right? And there's been a steady drip of like all these heartthrobs being like the guy from The Bear, right? I forgot his name, Jeremy something.
Alan White?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I went to a Marvel meeting and I was like, why should I be in your movie? And they didn't like that, but like, I don't want to do Marvel.
Oh, so he like big time Marvel?
He big time. And then Jacob Elordi, who plays the new Elvis, literally came out with an interview, did the same thing. Martin Scorsese.
Well, Scorsese, yeah.
Always.
The young guy's doing it. The young buck's doing it.
And yeah. Which is like, it's cool that they're doing it, but like if this was 10 years ago, they would not. Like,
No.
I feel like it's just like, get them while they're vulnerable, you know?
That's interesting. I mean, let's be honest. Marvel kind of fumbled the bag. They're still making oodles of cash, but I haven't watched Marvel content in a long time.
I mean, even Bob Iger is like, had to like address it. He was like, oh, we're going to be changing the direction of Disney to be more modern. And
Yeah.
like, I think that flop was such a big deal that I think it has impacts for like their shares and shit. And like, which honestly, good. Like Marvel, like,
Yeah.
fuck. It's too much.
Restart. I think, especially because the spirit of this club is to not yuck anyone's yum. Like there are people who still love Marvel, consume Marvel. There's 100,000 people who went to see the movie.
Yeah.
Just a flop by Marvel standards.
True.
So I don't want to be like, Marvel sucks.
I do.
Okay.
I'm on the record.
Yeah. So you're joining the other guys and being
I'm
like,
yucking their yum. Yeah.
I'm just hedging unless they come knocking one day and I can be like, this guy was against you, but I will take that check to direct a Marvel movie. No problem.
Elias the shill.
Hey man, I got mouths to feed.
That was 3
What?
on your list? Rosemary's Baby?
Rosemary Red with 3. Yeah.
Okay, what's number 2?
You want to go number 2?
Yeah.
Raising Arizona.
Never seen it.
Oh boy.
Nick Cage. I know
This
that.
is like, okay, so this is Nick Cage's debut as the Nick Cage we know and love.
Okay.
The plot of the movie, I'll just read the byline to you. When a childless couple, an ex-con and an ex-cop, decide to help themselves to one of another family's quintuplets, their lives become more complicated than they anticipate. It's directed by the Coen brothers. It's this like madcap, insane comedy from '87. Nick Cage based his character on Wile E. Coyote from Looney Tunes.
It's pretty epic.
And it's the beginning of Nick Cage making these big, weird choices.
Yeah.
I mean, and on the joke, it's totally comedic.
Right.
And his charisma carries it all the way through. So you're with him all the way.
Nice.
And it's also got Holly Hunter and John Goodman as like, Holly Hunter's the wife. John Goodman shows up as like a side character. And it's just like, whoa, these guys are like making big choices and going for it. And it's so fun, and it's why Nick Cage to this day.
And it's a comedy, or
It's a comedy.
Dark comedy.
It's like a madcap dark comedy.
Oh, interesting.
And it's why Nick Cage is still doing that weird shit.
I think history will look fondly on him.
On Nick Cage?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think people throughout the years have been in on the joke and then out of the joke. Like there was like an early 2000s where he was like in that Christian movie Left Behind and Ghost Rider, and he just did all these like shitty movies.
But he puts out like at least a movie or two a year forever, right?
He's always working.
Yeah.
And like I think for him it's just a numbers game, and he's got some critically acclaimed.
So to go back to your metaphor, Nick Cage has made bangers and won Oscars?
Yeah.
He has won Oscar.
Well, adaptation. Yeah, I think he was either nominated or he won. For
Something I should have researched before I brought this up. Anyway,
yeah.
In your metaphor of like, would you have burn bright only to fade away, or kind of just coast?
Coast, yeah.
I wouldn't say Nick Cage is coasting, but he's works.
Doing both.
He's just a working dude who
Yeah.
keeps making movies every once in a while. Like this one, this new one, the Dream one. I forget the title.
Dream Scenario.
Dream Scenario. He's getting Oscar buzz.
Yeah. He took my metaphor and just took a big old dump on it.
He's just
doing it all.
He's just doing it all, and like just keep going. I think if you want to learn anything from him, like keep working, keep making stuff. No role is too small. And I love him every time he pops up, especially like not in character, like in an interview or something.
Yeah.
He just says wild shit.
He's an OG nepo baby. You know, he's
he's a Coppola, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Good for him.
Yeah. So I mean, I would too.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. If I was in the Coppola clan, I would totally just. But he proved it out though, because he makes great movies and he's memorable on his own, and he changed his name on purpose so people wouldn't know.
True.
So good on him.
What do you think of nepo babies?
Like the idea in general?
Or the conversation? I mean, you're clearly not a nepo baby.
I've confronted my parents being like, why have you not? I mean, if I wanted to go into neuroscience, my dad probably could have like...
Oh, is your dad a neuroscientist?
Yeah, he's a neuropsychologist. So
Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you a funny story. This is a good illustration. In college, I needed science credits. Mm-hmm. I was a double major in graphic design and film, and I was pushing this off because I was like, I don't want to learn anything practical. I just want to learn about design and film.
Right.
Oh, know what? I'll do a summer class and get my science credit. And my dad works at Columbia Medical Center, which is attached to Columbia University.
Yep.
So I could take summer classes for free at the university.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, I'll take Intro to Neuroscience in a summer course at Columbia University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. The first day, before I even went into the class, my dad was like, that class is no joke. And I'm like, bro,
go help me out.
I'm your son. Like, I think I can like,
it's in the genes.
I've been hearing about this my entire life. I think I can like figure it out, you know? Thanks, Pops.
Yeah.
The first class, they're like, class is not a joke. We're going to do, unless you want to become a doctor or literally go into neuroscience, quit.
Don't do it.
Quit.
Yeah.
We're going to do the entire textbook in 6 weeks. Don't do it. I had every warning, and I was still like,
yeah,
I got this. 6 weeks later, I'm toast. Like,
did you pass?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker. The last test, which I actually tried and studied for, I got blown out of the water. Like, just like, I knew. I handed in my test, and I was just like, I knew. And the teacher looking at me, like, she knew. I think she just knew from the whole class, all the tests, like the texts and exams. She was just like,
this guy,
just this fucking interloper. And I was like, that was a great class. Thank you so much. And I'm like, maybe I can finally use some nepotism.
Oh, you're like, you know who my dad is.
I literally
tried.
I literally said, I go,
you know who my father is.
I handed in the test, and she goes, like, congrats on finishing the class. I was like, yeah, I was so excited, because I don't know if you know who my dad is, but it's kind of a big deal. And she goes, oh, I know who your dad is. And I go, oh. And silence. And then I go, okay, bye. And I left.
Yeah.
And I failed. I totally failed. Weeks later, my dad comes to me. He's like, I heard you really bombed that class.
Oh, no. Damn. Would you not have told him otherwise?
What do you mean?
Like, if he didn't hear about it himself, would you have been like, oh, I'm not going to mention that?
I mean, he's not stupid. I'm sure he was like, there's no way this ends well
Yeah.
for my dipshit of a son. So go back to film school, you idiot. Like, stay in your lane. But, so yeah, I think the nepotism thing, it can only carry you so far. It really kind of comes down to what you do with it. Like Nick Cage is a perfect example.
Right.
Should people with familial advantage be put ahead in a perfect world? No.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree. Like, it is all about who you know. I think the issue that's kind of coming to a head now is like the severity of it or the amount of it. And like Hollywood as an institution, it's like, you know, it was started in the 20s.
That's
right?
bad.
And then it just keeps getting all the kids. It's becoming dynastic, and now you have. I mean, but you have like other opportunities now. Like we're making this podcast. We're filming dumb videos. We won't have access to like.
Yeah,
the
there are
old
certain
guard
people who can
institutionalize things, but
yeah, there are certain people who can be like fast tracked.
right.
Like that movie, Please Don't Destroy.
Yes, love those guys.
Love those guys.
Nepo babies.
Super duper.
But they created their own audience,
Right.
And then took the
So
step.
if you are going to cash in on
Yeah.
the inherent privilege that you have, make it count, and then
Right.
at least you're doing something with it.
Right. That's
Like,
true.
do I think you should get the opportunity over somebody else who's struggling? No, obviously not.
Right.
Or someone who is probably, I don't want to know if there's more talented or less talented or like a less like there's definitely people who still deserve shots who aren't getting shots because that slot on SNL is going to the head writer's kid.
Right.
And SNL, I think, is, if I may be so bold, slipping a little bit.
They're the best part of it.
Are they?
Thankful. Yeah. Have you seen the new movie?
No.
I love it.
And we even recommended it on the channel, and I haven't seen it, so I'm a big fat liar. But you loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I had an edible, and maybe that helps. But I was actually worried because, like, I started liking them when they were on Twitter. Our friend Avi actually showed me them, like, years ago during the quarantine thing.
Right.
They had, like, this whole vaccine video, and then they were on SNL. And when they did that, I was like, oh, are they going to get all, like, corporatized? But they didn't. It was good. And then when they made the jump to making this bigger budget movie, I was like, can they hold it together for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And honestly, they can. And it was just really enjoyable the whole way through.
God bless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, do I think they don't deserve the success? No. Like, they clearly put a huge amount of effort into it.
Yeah.
And they just took advantage of opportunities that were in their lap waiting for them.
Yeah, it's like more of a systemic thing. Like, I don't begrudge them. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
If we were in that position, we would do the same thing.
I think I would take it, which is, I don't want to be cynical or.
You're not going to be a martyr.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I can't. No one's going to do that.
I think I've also, in smaller ways, like I've lost out on opportunities because I know someone's nephew or something got the role.
Oh, interesting.
Or got the part, or not in the part. I'm trying to sound like I'm not an actor. I was supposed to be a PA on Gossip Girl one
nice.
summer, and then all of a sudden they're like, it's gone. And it actually worked out because I got moved over to a different movie, and it was a really cool experience. This really cool indie movie called Rabbit Hole, starring Nicole Kidman.
Oh, nice.
But I was like all set up. I watched 2 seasons of Gossip Girl to like prepare. It's a good show. I was not mad about that. And then I got a call one day being like, they gave your spot to somebody else. So,
Damn.
And I was like, what the hell? And they were like, it was someone wanted to do it. It's theirs. It's not yours. So it just kind of is what it is. It's not like it's bad, obviously.
Yeah.
Was I the best person for that job?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. So I think the backlash is important only in that it's raising awareness and like gives context to the whole industry.
Yeah.
Kind of drops the veil a little bit, which I think is important.
Yeah, things just become too entrenched over time. It's honestly just a function of time. Like,
Yeah.
This is always going to happen, and then you just need to reset and build something new or reform it.
Yeah. And I think, not to be grandiose, but what we're doing is part of a new thing of people finding their own audiences
Right.
and it's never been easier
Yeah.
to carve your own path.
I used to think it was like a little dystopian, like the whole like everyone's in their own bubble and we're not connected anymore. But like, dude, it's fucking awesome.
It's great.
You can find what you're passionate about, and like, hell yeah, there's more than 3 channels now. Like, it's great.
Yeah. And like,
You give more people, you're democratizing the ability to create content.
and you build your own audience, and you don't need a multi-billion-dollar apparatus to like make anything.
This has cost us $0.
Yeah, we're lit. I have like, I'm gonna turn the camera around in a second because it looks like dog shit behind the camera right now. Like, I'm a professional
squalor.
creative, and I'm like, if they could see me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in that there's a flip side to it, which I think is exciting, which is people are like, that world kind of sucks. If you are a nepo baby, you will be exposed.
Yeah.
That's your journey to like handle that. In the meantime, we're all going to start like creating our own channels and attracting our own audiences.
Yeah.
And that to me is the most exciting.
It's so exciting.
And I think the biggest voices to come out of this new generation are people who put themselves out there, just kind of put themselves on tape.
Yeah, dude. I went into a Mr. Beast rabbit hole the other day. Guy knows what he's doing.
That thing is, he is the weirdest of it all. Like, that's like,
I can't pin him.
I don't
know who he is.
No, but he's a total enigma. Is he cynical? Is he in on the joke?
Is he charming? Is he goofy? Is he?
He's some kind of genius.
But he freaks me out how
Yeah.
smart he is. And like, no one's learning anything watching his videos.
He knows entertainment innately.
It's pure entertainment.
Innately, yeah.
It hits you in the core of your brain.
How many followers does he have on YouTube?
Like 93 million or something. Every video he makes is $1 million.
That's great.
And the graphics and the CGI are incredible. And like, he'll buy like a grocery store and make so. It's also like a little weird. He's like almost Nathan Fieldery, where he's like, I think he has this like control thing where he's like, I'm gonna create the environment and put people in it and then just reward them. It's like almost like a God thing to maybe.
Yeah, I've watched a few, and he's like, I'm gonna make poor people fight each other for money. It's a little
again,
dystopic.
I'm not shitting on Mr. Beast. Love Mr. Beast. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
but like,
I wish I thought of it a little bit, if I'm being
It's
totally honest.
interesting.
It's really fascinating, but it's probably the best example of like, this is content that I enjoy. I'm going to start putting it on YouTube.
right.
And the response is like, he's getting more views per episode than network TV shows.
Oh, yeah. Way bigger.
Like, he's one of the biggest entertainment anything.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's very exciting. Anyway, number 1 on the list.
One. Okay.
We just did Raising Arizona. My number one is Children of Men.
That is a great pick. I love that movie.
So this is still one of my favorite movies. I saw it in theaters 3 times.
Damn.
First time blew my mind.
Yeah.
Second time I went back because I was like, it was one of those movies where I was like, did I just like, I gotta like run it back. And this is still, it came out in 2006. So it's still before like you could just bring up a movie and watch it wherever you want.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta go watch it. And then the third time I brought friends because I was like, check this shit out. If you haven't seen it, it's Alfonso Cuarón's second movie after Y Tu Mamá También. He since went on to do Gravity. He's
Harry Potter.
one of
Prisoner
probably the best Harry Potter.
I just watched them with my wife Becca.
Yeah.
The best one.
He's arguably one of the most important filmmakers today.
Yeah.
One of the guy doing like the best, moving the needle in terms of like culture, representation in the industry, a very new perspective. This movie is full of oneers, which Scorsese made him cool, and then they got super gimmicky for a little while.
Scorsese didn't make them cool.
Didn't make a oneer cool?
Hitchcock. He didn't make them uncool. But like,
But I
they
mean,
were
like-
used in old, like in the Hitchcock. And
But I mean, like the Goodfellas
Orson
thing
Welles.
was like,
Oh, true. Yeah.
everyone was like, that's what I meant. Like
Yeah.
he did it in Goodfellas, and then everyone
Cobra
tried to
scene.
copy him,
Right.
and it got kind of tired, in my opinion, for a little while. And then this movie has a couple of scenes where it's not an actual oneer. There's really beautifully.
The car scene, dude.
There's a car scene where you're in the middle of the car and the camera keeps rotating, so have like an impossible angle on the action.
It's very exhilarating.
It hits so hard. And I remember watching it in a movie theater and just being like teleported to another place in time. Like
Yeah.
you don't even know that you're there, which is in my favorite moment in movies is when you forget everything. You're totally transported somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're just in it. And I'm super fucking annoying in movies because I'll be like, oh, that was a weird sound choice, or like that edit was a little bit like too overwrought.
Have you ever shushed someone at a movie?
No, I've told someone to stop kicking my seat in a very, but I think that's legit.
That's fair.
I'm a big, yeah.
Once I was watching the movie, I watched the movie Taken in theaters.
Great.
And it was like 2008, 2009. And I was like in 7th or 8th grade. I was with my friends. And we were very good for like 7th, 8th graders. We were just watching the movie. There was another group of kids just nonstop talking. And some dude in the middle of the movie, I'll never forget, just stands up. He's like, shut the fuck up. If I wanted to hear yelling, I'd go home and watch my parents fight with each other. Dude, the most effective way to quiet everybody.
I feel like the issue was not so much the noise of the movie theater as opposed to whatever this guy was dealing with at home.
It was pretty effective, though.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
That kind of bummed me out a little bit. No, I'm not. I have like a weird movie etiquette thing where I like to sit and absorb. I don't really care if people are crinkling or like, as long as like you're not on your phone or you're being really, as long as you're not messing up in a, like my movie watching experience.
Yeah.
Also, if you're in the theater, you're kind of there to get everyone else's reaction as well.
Right.
Like you want to hear laughs, you want to hear gasps. Like you want when people burst out in applause at a movie, that's like so fun.
Yeah.
A good horror movie where everyone's like screaming at once. So you kind of like, you need to like accept that it's not your personal space. But I saw this movie and I was like, literally when people talk about like edge of your seat, like gripping onto it, I was like, holy shit. And I saw it 3 times in theaters. Clive Owen kills it. Julianne Moore kills it. Michael Caine is in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it. It's just so good. It's like one of my golden standards for sci-fi movies because it's like near future,
right,
dystopic future.
Yeah, but it's like very grounded in reality.
Very believable.
Very too believable.
Yeah, but that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
Like it's like real. Like you're like, oh, this is what's coming. Like very soon. And if you haven't seen it, the reason it's on this baby list is because the premise of the whole movie is that no baby has been born in years. And all of a sudden, Clive Owen is pulled into this like weird activist cause where there's a rumor of something happening. And I kind of don't want to spoil it, even though it came out in 2006. It's almost 20 years old at this point. If you haven't seen it and you don't know what the plot is, go watch it right now. It's just wall to wall, one of the best movies you could watch, in my opinion. It gets you so good. The plot is great. The acting is great. And it has a baby in it.
Yeah, definitely a baby movie.
So it's
pretty legendary list.
That's a top 5 for babies in movies. Thank you, Boss Baby, for prompting that for us. If there's anything else to add, I think we can wrap it up for today.
Yeah, this has been fun, dude.
So I just want to say that this has been wild. The fact that we're here recording this, thank you. I don't know how many people are going to be listening to this, but if you are here listening to this and you haven't made it all the way to this part of the podcast, like, thank you for being along for the ride.
Thank you.
This is wild. Hopefully it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is an experiment. Like, we're going to put this down, see how people react. We might do 1,000 more. We might not do any more. I'd like to do more, but we're throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. But I'm super excited. So keep tuning in. Stick around to see what comes next. And thank you to my boy John for...
Yeah, Elias, thank you.
This has been really exciting.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take it easy.